In another video, I'm going to break down every one of these.
This is teaching for women. So, Jesus is Baal. It is the Messiah that Yeshua warned you not to accept in John chapter 5, verse 43. The one who came in his own name, a transliterated man-made name where they remove letters and change letters. It ended up being feminine, so they wanted to make it masculine. Completely changing the name. And the doctrine that comes with this Messiah, the 46,000 different denominations who proclaim Jesus, has turned the grace of God into lasciviousness. Jude chapter 1 verse 4. That you can come before the Lord shameless in your sin because you have undeserved favor, lasciviousness, unbridled lust, wantonness, shamelessness. For the grace of God in Titus 2, G5485 in the Strongs is especially divine influence on your heart. His conviction teaches you in Titus 2 to deny sin and lust of this world so you can live without pride, soberly, righteously, which is Yeshua's first and great commandment he gave you, to keep the 10 commandments in this present world. Yeshua in John chapter 5 told you to go search the scriptures, for in them you'll find your salvation. It was what was written of him. And you don't believe him. And he knows that you don't have the love of God in you. Go look what Moses wrote of me, he says, so you believe what I tell you. In Deuteronomy chapter 18 and Acts 3, Jehovah rose up a prophet from amongst them. He put his words in that prophet's mouth, and he gave them what was desired at Horeb, the life-giving water. Exodus 17, Deuteronomy 4 through 6. The 10 commandments Jehovah gave with his voice at the rock of Horeb. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 22, he gave the 10 commandments and he added no more. Yeshua's first and great commandments, Matthew 22, to love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, quoting Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5. Love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Teach the commandments to your children, keep them in your hearts. Verse 25 of Deuteronomy chapter 6, and it will be your righteousness, so you can live righteously. Divine influence on your heart so you can live righteously, keeping those commandments. He told you in Matthew 5, those that break one of these least commandments and teaches others to break one of these least commandments will be least in the kingdom. And those that keep them and teach others to keep them will be called great in the kingdom. He gave you a second commandment to love your neighbor as thyself. 2 John chapter 1, he didn't write a new commandment unto you, women, but one from the beginning, to love one another and keep the commandments. The royal law in James chapter 2, verse 8. Fulfill the royal law according to Scripture, which is Leviticus chapter 19, 15 through 18. To do righteous judgment. What's Jehovah's righteousness? His first and great commandment he gave you, to keep the 10 commandments in your hearts. Rebuke your neighbor when they sin, breaking his commandments. For sin is the transgression of the law. Don't be respecters of persons, James chapter 2, verse 8 and 9, I think, or you'll commit sin. Don't rebuke some and not others. For Ezekiel 3, if you don't warn your neighbor when you see them sin, they're going to die in their iniquity, and he's going to require their blood at your hands. Leviticus 19. Rebuke your neighbor so they don't suffer sin upon them. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Yeshua's second commandment, like unto the first. Because you got to remove the log from your eye before you can do righteous judgment. Remove the sliver from your neighbor's eye. Matthew 7. You can't be a hypocrite. This is why he says, I know you don't have the love of God in you. 1 John chapter 5. For this is how we know we love the children of God, when we love God. For this is the love of God, to keep his commandments. That's why he tells you in Matthew 5, those that keep them and teach others to keep them will be great in the kingdom of heaven. That includes his Sabbath, a perpetual covenant. Exodus 31:16 through 18. His mark on his children. That's what sign means. Look it up in the Strongs. Hebrews 4. Those that don't enter into his rest, his Sabbath, have unbelief. If Yeshua had given them rest, wouldn't he have spoken of another day? He never spoke of another day. Therefore, there remains a rest to Jehovah's people. Don't do the same thing of those that had unbelief in Hebrews 3, whose carcasses fell in the wilderness because they were disobedient and sinned. Therefore, they couldn't enter his rest for unbelief. The doctrine that comes with this Jesus character, the many messiahs he warns you that will come after him. Teaching you burden of the Lord. His commandments are impossible to keep. The only one that can keep him was the Son. When he gives you his spirit of grace, his divine influence on your heart so you can keep them. And the ones that you're struggling with, you can ask Jehovah for help. If you have that humble, contrite heart and you want to obey him and you're resisting breaking those commandments, if you're struggling with one, you can ask for help to change your heart. None of the world wants to obey him. Romans 1 is why, if you have not read it, because the world sacrifices their children to Moloch, doing pagan idolatry. Jeremiah 10, Jeremiah 4, 7:44, Christmas and Easter, where they cut a tree out from the forest, bring it in their house, nail it down so it doesn't topple over, and deck it with silver and gold, filling their vessels with swine's flesh, eating that Christmas ham, sacrificing onto other idols, honoring other gods over Jehovah. He gives them up to their own reprobate minds, so they do what is against nature. That is why we have people that are gay. Our Bible tells us this. He gives them up to their reprobate minds. And when you pass your children under the fire of Moloch, the iniquities of the parents pass down 3 to 4 generations onto their children. The whole Bible tells you to keep his commandments and eat clean. Isaiah 65 and 66, when he returns with fire, those that have swine flesh in their vessels that say, don't stand by me, I'm holier than thou, or smoke under Jehovah's nose that burns all day, and they're going to be destroyed. Those that stand behind a Jeremiah 10 Christmas tree eating swine's flesh or Christmas ham, they're going to be destroyed along with the mouth. All the pagan idolatry, committing adultery on the Father, for we are his bride. He doesn't change. Malachi 3 tells you he doesn't change. He's a jealous God. And this Jesus character has taught you that all things are clean. You can fill your vessels with abominations, and you don't have to keep the commandments. His Son tells you, I came in my Father's name. Yahushua, Yeshua, Yahuwah. The true Hebrew hasn't been restored yet, but if you want to call him by his English name, you can call him Joshua. Zechariah 3, High Priest Joshua, that's his English name. It was never